We have a few more minutes with Ed Humphreys this morning. Again, he is a candidate for governor in Idaho, one of a handful of Republicans who have filed, and they will be on the primary ballot next May of 2022. We're at 54. It is 7:22. Bill Cawley on Magic Valley this morning. On News Radio 96.1 FM, 1310 KLIX, and News Radio 1310.com. And we only have a few more minutes today, and we'll pick this conversation up, obviously, at some point in the next few weeks. But there was a second point you were going to mention today, and this is you have asked the governor to call a moratorium on refugee resettlement in Idaho. And wonder if you can give us a little background on that.
Well, we're having a major problem right now. There are nurses, teachers, law enforcement officers who cannot afford housing in the parts of the state in which they work. And we're experiencing an incredible rate of growth. Because of government mismanagement, we don't have, the cost of materials to build is so high. We have labor shortages because of the screwed up pipeline that we've engineered, labor pipeline that we've engineered in the state and in the country. And if we're going to continue to ship people en masse here into Idaho, and they do have guaranteed housing. I mean, it is a guarantee for those folks. The programs that support them will ensure that there's an entire infrastructure. And look, my family is an immigrant family. This has nothing to do with anything except the fact that we got to address our problems. First, we got to take care of Idahoans first, Americans first, before we start trying to take care of the rest of the world. We're having massive problems right now, and it's not time to add in another variable. And the last piece I'll add to that, some of these refugee resettlement agencies are not, like the nice players you think they are. These are, in some of these agencies, are political operatives that have an agenda that they want to have enacted, and they use people as tools to do that. And I could go on for a while. We probably don't have the time of some real life examples, but I think that we need to place a moratorium on refugee resettlement in this state. And we see what's going on in Kabul right now. And I mean, oh my gosh, how heartbreaking. I was so angry yesterday watching Biden's speech. I can't even describe what was going through my mind seeing that man get up there and say the things he said. He's blaming this on the terrorists in Afghanistan, but I'll tell you, there is one person responsible for what happened in Kabul, and it's the terrorist in the White House.
Yeah.
That man is incompetent and unfit to run this country, just as his vice president, Kamala Harris, is. But that's a whole nother issue. And if we continue to give the UN, United Nations, authority on who comes into America, which is how we structure the refugee resettlement program, it all starts with the UN. They will fundamentally change this nation. They absolutely will. And we're already growing further from our roots. I think we need to embrace our roots.
I'm going to try to squeeze in a caller. Caller, we don't have a lot of time, so you've got to make it brief, but you're on the air with Ed Humphreys on KLIX. Go ahead.
Good morning, gentlemen. Ed, I wholeheartedly agree with you that we need to make sure that we do what's best for Idaho and Idahoans, and that includes getting rid of Governor Little. Last week I asked your opponent, if the time comes, would you be willing to stop the campaign if it's notably that you are not going to win? Will you do what's best for Idaho and step aside to let the voters have fewer options so we don't end up with Governor Little again?
Okay, interesting question. Yeah, I think the caller posed that question to Ammon Bundy in the past on the program. What's your take on that?
I'm running to win, and I have to focus on that singular objective. I will tell you, I have been in touch with the other candidates. What you mentioned is something that everybody feels strongly about. We have to get rid of yesterday's Republican leadership in this state and get behind somebody with a vision. Right now, I'm of the conservatives. You can combine the lieutenant governor and Ammon, and I've raised significantly more from them from individual donors. no PACs, no special interest groups. And I'm building out an incredibly agile organization across the state to get the vote out in May. And so I agree with you that we got to thin the field. This is why I'm not going to go on the attack after the other conservatives in the race, because I want to be in a position to absorb their support and their infrastructure to make this campaign even stronger.
We got about 90 seconds. A writer in Gooding County says he's trying to sponsor 2 Afghan families, bringing them here. And he said, would you get in the way or work against that? I don't know if sponsoring a family is the same as a refugee resettlement program, but he's curious to know if you would get in the way of that.
I'm opposed to refugee resettlement that is spearheaded by the United Nations. So I'm in touch with our military and former military who are trying to get interpreters out and other people that they have been very close to in Afghanistan that will get killed over there if they don't get them out of Afghanistan. Now, they may or may not all be able to come to the United States. There's a whole world outside of Afghanistan, but I do not think it's appropriate for the United Nations to feed it all in when there's private organizations vetting and making sure we're not importing the Taliban and ISIS. I have more confidence in those organizations than I do the United Nations.
Quickly, what's your website again?
edforidaho.com. So, and I'll be out in the Twin Falls area, I believe, on the 1st of September.
Yes.
So reach out to the campaign.
Yes, I think that's going to be about the time the fair starts down here, too, as well.
Yep.
You might need to stop for a corn dog.
Nah, I've had too many of them the last few weeks.
Hey, look, we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah. Thank you, Bill. Take care.
You too now. Ed Humphreys joining us this morning again. Republican candidate for governor. He is running in the primary next May of 2022, and he hopes to unseat Governor Brad Little. In the meantime, we've got a guest coming up in just a few minutes following the news. It's 52 at 7:30, and his name is Lieutenant Colonel Steve Heil. He is retired from the Air Force. He served under 5 presidents. And if you think that you have some strong ideas or strong reactions to what's going on in Afghanistan, you should hear what he has to say. That's on the way.